Okay, let's get started then. So, I'm just going to use the type tool and click once and place in my text. Remember, clicking once allows you to then use the text and make it big, make it small. If I was to click and drag and place my text in, I'd have a text box. I would not be able to do a lot with that. So always make sure you click once with the type tool, never use it. So I want to, my initial idea is to have the words all within one and try and emphasize the message of each word. So the key words within here are the united, divide, and then our secondary keywords really are the stand and the fall. So we can play around with emphasizing these words a little bit. What I suggest you do is get your type all laid out in terms of the placement position and then start worrying about colour and background and everything else that you need to at that point. So first things first, I'm going to use different typefaces for the different words. So I'm going to double click, still in Typeform tool, I'm going to go in and I've already decided what typefaces I'm going to use. So I'm going to use a font called Railway for the United, and I'm going to use a font called Beavis for the Divided, and the rest of it I'm going to keep as one font, and I'm going to make this a serif font. I'm going to make that Garamond. So I'm only using 3 fonts, there's no limit, you use as many as you need to. I'm just going to make this a bit bigger. And what I can do is I can break it up and just sort of get a rough idea of how I want it to align. And you'll notice that as I zoom in, the spacing's all over the place. Don't worry about that because we are going to take this out the type format. We need to keep this comma in, that's grammatically correct. We also need to add some quote marks. So I'm going to make the quote marks. Oops. Hold the shift key and it's press the colon, and you'll see that the quote marks are 2 different typefaces, so we need to make sure that these are the right typeface. And for this I'm going to use a different typeface. I'm going to use Rockwell. And the reason I'm using this typeface is a slab serif. It is a bit more bolder and much more display. Okay. So now I'm generally happy with the style. I'm going to take this out of text mode. Now, text mode means I can at any point go in and highlight, change the typeface, delete, add more in if I needed to. I've done all my editing in terms of the grammar, in terms of the typeface, so I want to get it out of this mode before I do anything else. I am going to copy that and move that over here. It's always wise to keep a kind of an original matrix version, so that you can always go back in case you make a mistake. In the past we've seen people that have made spelling mistakes, they've got so far into work and they've had to change it. Other people have just gone and made a bit of a mess and they want to go back, so it's always good that you've done the groundwork here and you've got the original of it before you take it into what we call outline mode. And to do that you need to select your text, and if you go into the type tool and go create outlines. Now what that's done is it's made every shape, every mark that type has into a graphic object, and it's not a piece of type anymore in terms of an editable piece of type. It is a graphic object. It's almost as similar as if you made a shape yourself like this. So this allows us a bit more freedom to be able to select, move and work with any other elements that we want to add into it to try and emphasise the text. What it has done though, it keeps it as one big group. It will do that with any text, line text that you had. So if I had done a second group of text, like another line with the type tool, that would be separate. Now I can go in and I can ungroup this by going Object, Ungroup, and that then groups things into their individual letter forms. Now, so not each word is selected when I select one of the letters, but because these are one character, essentially, as the quote marks, they stay together. Likewise, when you select the I, and the dot of the I comes with it. So everything's separate on its own. I can just click and drag around each word and go Object Group or Command G, so that if I select one word to move, I don't have to select all the letters individually. And if I want to go in and edit within that group, I can go into the isolation mode where you double click on it, and then you can then work within editing that. So the word divided, to emphasize that word, the definition of divided, we could break apart this text, which I can do within isolation mode. So it also means that if you want to rotate things, you can do individually.